Welcome to my favorite time of the year here on That's Good Sports, Spring Forward. That's right, I like losing an hour of sleep every time the NFL free agency legal tampering period begins. I like when an hour vanishes. I'm all about time travel. And just like Marty McFly, I too hope I can one day go back in time so I can French my mom as a Never mind. Today, I want to break down the biggest surprise moves and grade each move with a level of surprise for all of the trades and or signings. So far, we have no news on Aaron Rodgers, just a bunch of tweets that make it really seem like he will be a Jet when he stops being an attention whore. Let's do free agency day one here on That's Good Sports. Please, if you don't want your family to trade you, subscribe here on YouTube. Now I'm going to start with the move nobody's really talking about as being sexy, but the Bucs re-signed corner Jamel Dean. Dean would have been the best corner in free agency, and I know nobody cares about the Buccaneers without Tom Brady, but this is a smart move for the Bucs defense as they head into a year of uncertainty at the QB position. Rams quarterback Baker Mayfield was linked to the Buccaneers this weekend, but nothing is manifested yet, as multiple teams are apparently trying to make a play for Baker. That, of course, was not the big news with the Rams this week. It was actually the shocking cut of Sean McVay assaulter Roger Carter. Baker Mayfield and Roger Carter, I thank you for this from earlier in the season. The Dolphins and the Rams have agreed on a trade for Jalen Ramsey. Jalen may be leaving the Rams, but he joins the new Fuck Them Picks team, as the Dolphins only have 4 draft picks in this upcoming draft. That's the fewest of any team in the league. That said, the Dolphins only gave up a 3rd rounder in this upcoming draft and tight end Hunter Long for Jalen Ramsey. I'll be honest, today was the first time I've ever heard about Hunter Long. So good move. When the Rams traded for Ramsey, they gave up 2 first-rounders and a 4th a couple years ago. I've seen Jaguars depreciate slower than that. The car, not the team that Jalen was drafted. I've seen BMWs depreciate slower. God, why did I cling to that joke? Now, Ramsey may have had an atypical season in terms of touchdowns allowed, 7 according to PFF in 2022, but the entire LA defense, along with the offense, nosedived harder than Tony Montana and Scarface. And I love this move for the Dolphins and new defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, who gets a much-needed lockdown corner to pair with Xavier Howard, another lockdown guy who hasn't quite lived up to his stellar 10-pick season in 2020. I do like Howard and Ramsey, though, playing with chips on their shoulders. 9 Pro Bowls between the 2 corners in the last 5 seasons. My level of surprise and excitement for this move, friendly fire. Daron Payne is staying in DC after receiving a massive 4-year, $90 million deal that makes him the highest paid defensive tackle not named Aaron Donald. This is a low-key great move for the Commanders, but in terms of Washington and free agency, we're just waiting for news of someone leaving. Yeah, that son of a bitch. Until that happens, I can't get too excited for any player that the Commanders retain. My level of excitement for this? Dan Snyder dancing. Here's a big move, though. The 49ers landed defensive tackle Javon Hargrave on a deal totaling $80 million over the next 4 years. The 49ers not only steal a piece away from a conference rival that beat them in the playoffs, that's also bleeding players on defense, but they add Hargrave to a defensive line that's already been one of the best units in the league. If Eric Armstead stays healthy, that front with Nick Bosa on the edge and now Hargrave coming off an 11-sack season will be a nightmare for poor Geno Smith and whoever the hell ends up starting for the Cardinals and Rams this season. My excitement level for this signing is George Kittle whenever he knows the camera is on him.
You gonna go have fun now?
Yes.
Look, I don't know what's going to happen with the Eagles' defense, but they got great news. Probably the best news they received since learning Jimmy Garoppolo could not come into the championship game when Jason Kelce announced that he was returning for another season. The best lineman in football returns, and my excitement level is, fittingly...
Let's celebrate this right now.
The exact same as Howie Roseman's excitement level when he was over-serving Jason Kelce upon hearing the news. You'd be a horrible bartender, Howie.
Gee, that is that's mine?
Yeah. we're doing it by body type. We're doing it by body. And here's my 119 pounds. No. This is my weight class.
The Atlanta Falcons made 2 big money moves so far. Jesse Bates, who said he'd like to play with Deshaun Watson, actually ended up choosing the team Watson nearly landed on, the Falcons. Atlanta is giving Bates a 4-year, $64 million deal, meaning the Bates Motel is officially expanding into the Bates Hotel. The only murder that happened in the Bates Motel, though, was to the Falcons' cap space. The Falcons also handed guard Chris Lindstrom a 5-year, $105 million deal to anchor the middle of their offensive line. That's a shit ton of money for a guard, but that's also what happens when you don't really have anyone else to pay on your team. I thought that seemed like a lot for a guard, but Lindstrom was one of, if not the best at his position in the league last season. From Lindstrom to Powers.
Atlanta, you're fucking out.
Different Powers, but that works. The Broncos signed Ravens guard Ben Powers to a 4-year, $52 million deal. That seems like a steal after seeing the Lindstrom $100 million plan. Powers started 36 games over his rookie contract, including all 17 games a season ago, giving up 0 sacks. Groovy, baby! Although not as groovy for Dalton Reisner, who's likely played his last game at guard in Denver. It looked like the Bears were going to clinch the Glinch, but the former 9th overall pick is going from San Francisco to Denver. Right tackle Mike McGlinchey joins the Broncos on a 5-year, $87 million deal. This, fingers crossed, gives the Broncos stability at the right tackle position for the first time since, well, before Peyton Manning arrived, honestly. So 87 mil for McGlinchey and 52 mil for Powers, and Denver just invested roughly $140 million to protect Russell Wilson. That's great on game day, but who the hell is going to protect Russell Wilson from the media? Now, some are already trying to say that this is a bad move for the Broncos because McGlinchey had like 10 penalties last year. To that I say he's gonna fit right in with the 2nd most penalized team in the league. But the Broncos weren't done. No. They also made a switch at the backup QB position, letting go of 4-year backup Brett Rip It and Grippin in favor of former Patriot and Raider Jarrett Stidham, who's joining Denver on a 2-year deal worth up to $10 million. Clearly a move for an informant type situation. Stidham can finally tell the Broncos how to beat the Raiders, who have swept them the last couple years. Luckily, Denver never forgot how to beat the Chargers. My level of excitement for these moves is birthday party. Stock video birthday party. It might be a lot of fun, or it all might just be fake. Chargers running back Austin Eckler asked for permission to seek a trade after failing to figure out an extension that would keep him with the Chargers in LA. I fully support this move. In a move that surprised absolutely no one, Josh McDaniels showed Derek Carr the door and opened it up for his former New England pupil, Jimmy Garoppolo. Josh McDaniels tried to trade his used car, but ended up taking it to the dealership just so they could sell him essentially the exact same car, but with less add-ons. Jimmy G is the base model Derek Carr, even though his exterior has 0 blemishes. Now, Jimmy G joins the Raiders on a 3-year, $67.5 million deal that includes $34 million in guarantees. Is Jimmy G better than Derek Carr? No, but he's a better fit with Josh McDaniels, as he is one of the only quarterbacks on earth who actually wants to be in the same fucking room with Josh McDaniels. Garoppolo will take up quite a bit less cap space than Carr. And this is more of a 2-year deal than a real 3-year commitment for the Raiders, with a high-priced out year from Garoppolo next offseason. My level of excitement for this move is bald Mark Davis. Ah, God, I wish that was real. The Miami Dolphins added to their QB room with Teddy Bridgewater on the way out. Miami is solidifying the backup role with former Jets future Hall of Famer Mike White, who's getting a 2-year deal in South Beach worth up to $16 million. Now, honestly, I hope we never see Mike White play. I want to see Tua make it through the whole season, but my level of excitement for this nice deal is anything funny Mike McDaniel says.
Bro, your technique was trash.
The Patriots have traded tight end Jonnu Smith to the Falcons, where he reunites with former Titans OC Arthur Smith. Love that. Now the Falcons have 2 athletic tight ends they can ignore in the red zone. The Pats got just a 7th rounder in return for a tight end. They signed for $50 million over 4 years in 2021. Smith had under 30 receptions and under 300 yards in each of his last 2 seasons as a Patriot, scoring just 1 touchdown. Again, he'll fit in perfectly with the Falcons. The Ravens have released 36-year-old defensive end Calais Campbell after 3 years in Baltimore, including a 5.5 sack season in 2022. There's no indication that the 6-time Pro Bowler will retire, and Baltimore said in a statement that they haven't closed the door on bringing him back. Okay. The Pittsburgh Steelers lost corner Cam Sutton to the Detroit Lions. Sutton had a career-high 3 picks last season, and Detroit definitely needs help in the secondary, but my surprise level rose to Tree's ability to please a Whopper.
And they whopper my way.
When the Steelers signed corner Patrick Peterson. Now I know Patrick Peterson is getting old for a corner at 32, but if there's a defense I trust to succeed with him, it is Mike Tomlin's. And then the Chicago Bears and the Panthers executed a massive trade on Friday. The Bears dropped from the 1st overall pick in the draft to number 9 and got receiver DJ Moore, a 2nd rounder this draft, plus a 1st next year and a 2nd in 2025. That's old news, but Chicago was expected to be active in free agency with all of the cap space that they had, and they started spending money immediately, like Ja Morant in a strip club. Let's just hope Ryan Poles doesn't have any tiny guns to take photos with. After dealing linebacker Roquan Smith to the Ravens last season, Chicago had gaping holes at linebacker, so they did what the Bills and Eagles could not afford to do, and signed Tremaine, Edmunds, and TJ Edwards. That's a DJ, a TJ, and 2 Eds this free agency period for the Bears. This is where Ryan Poles should be credited for doing work. Edmunds and Edwards were 2 of the best linebackers available in free agency. PFF actually graded them as the 5th and 6th best linebackers last season, playing in at least 20% of their snaps. The Bills did re-sign linebacker Matt Milano, and unfortunately they could only keep 1 of their 2 linebackers. Now, both Levante David and Bobby Wagyu are free agents, but they are 32 and 33 years old. The Bears bank on youth for 2 talented backers, as Tremaine is only 24 and TJ Edwards is 26. At this point, the Bears just need to add edge and corner, which they could address in the draft to really start feeling good about their defense. And wait, what? Uh-oh. Oh, no. Finally. The quarterback news you have been waiting for? Sam Darnold signs a 1-year deal with the 49ers. Darnold joins Trey Lance as a fellow number 3 overall draft pick who doesn't have a chance in hell to start. Yes, the 49ers are the only team who could have 2 number 3 overall QBs on their roster who will not start, and nobody will give them shit for it. Obviously, Brock Purdy just had elbow surgery, so he might not be quite ready week 1. It'll be close. This is not a vote of confidence, though, in Trey Lance, who will be ready week 1. This is Purdy's job to lose, and Darnold is a good backup or starter in a pinch. I expect the 49ers to win the division and be back in the playoffs where Brock Purdy is leading the team, and Sam Darnold does not come in when Purdy gets hurt because Kyle Shanahan refused to activate him before the playoff games. Again, Thanks for watching That's Good Sports Free Agency Day 1 Frenzy Fuckfest. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Make sure you share and like this video and tell your grandparents about it. Come on, Grandma and Grandpa. Let's get hip with the YouTubes.